Morning, everyone. Welcome to the regular session of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors. We'll also be sitting as all special taxing districts. This is the February the 3rd, 2020, at 9 a.m. I think we'll have all the board members present. So we're going to start the meeting with the Pledge of Allegiance. Would everybody please stand up and follow Supervisor McLeod?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Please join me. I pledge
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. You got me. I was
All right.
You're getting there.
No, I'm not.
Next item on the agenda is call to the public. A call to the public is held for the public's benefit. It will allow individuals to address issues within the board's jurisdiction. Board members may not discuss items that are not specifically identified on the agenda. Therefore, pursuant to Arizona revised statutes, action taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter, responding to criticism, or scheduling the matter for further discussion and decision at a future date. Normally asked to sign in a speaker form, but if you don't or haven't and still want to address the board, you can do this at this particular section of the agenda. I do have a speaker form here. It's made out to, well, it's Will Katz. I don't want to give out this information. Would you please stand, Will? Come forward.
Morning, everyone. William Katz. I speak only for myself. I've appreciated the opportunity again to be heard today. I was heard a couple weeks ago, and I just wanted to kind of follow up and gauge the temperature on a couple of issues that I raised. One of the issues that I raised was a request that the county declare Second Amendment sanctuary status and protect Second Amendment rights. I notice it's not on the agenda today. I understand that things take time to deliberate upon and to study. Just want to give you some updates. It sounds like Yavapai County is going to consider the issue for an up-down vote as to whether the supervisors up there will protect Second Amendment rights. It sounds like that's happening this week. There's some other positive news. We have state representatives and a state senator that signed on to House Concurrent Resolution 2033, which protects and defends Second Amendment rights here in Arizona. And that would be, of course, Representative Dunn, Osborne, and State Senator Kerr. And we should all be very appreciative that they're taking a stand and that they're doing the right thing to protect our rights. Of course, I would ask for you guys to consider the issue and do an up-down vote and protect Second Amendment rights. The other issue that I raised was I was requesting that the Board of Supervisors take a position in support of Somerton High School and to take an active position of advocacy in writing a letter of support or sending Mr. Melcher or writing a memoranda supporting the immediate funding of Somerton High School now. Regrettably, it sounds like that the Facilities Board has issued its agenda for February 5th. And what is on the agenda is a presentation for informational purposes only. And the School Facilities Board is not recommending funding. Look, rural Arizona is under attack by the big cities. We need to stand united and together as a community, whether you're from Welton or Yuma or San Luis and Somerton, and we need to take a united front, because if a fund like the high school is defunded at a whim, we all need to be offended by that, and we all need to take action. I'm here to help. I'm here to be a part of a solution. It's 2020, new year, new me. Positivity is the name of the game. Let me know how I can help. I want to be a part of the solution. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Katz. Anyone else? No one else? I'll leave the call to the public open to the public as we continue. Susan, do we have some sort of presentation that we can do it?
I think we should hear from the library.
I want to hear from the library.
Would you like to make this presentation?
You know, I know that sometimes giving someone that retires a clock is not a good idea, but in this particular case, you know, that we were looking for something to honor the time that Supervisor McLeod has served as a vice chair for such a long time. We thought that this would be somewhat appropriate for him to have in his desk. It's a real nice plaque that says,
That's very kind. Thank you.
presented to Supervisor Russell McLeod in grateful appreciation for your 6 years of service as Vice Chairman of the Yuma County Board of Supervisors. we have not acknowledged the years that you serve as chairman, but we will before you leave, I hope. So just wanted to make sure that, you know, you got this.
Well,
from
thank you,
us.
Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that. Very nice. Thank you.
Yeah, I was gonna say checks in the mail, but I don't think you believe that anymore. If you hear from a government official, I don't believe that anymore. But, and that's also, we want you to keep it here to limit the time you speak. It's got a 3-minute set time. Anyway, thanks a lot, Russell. We appreciate it.
Well, thank you,
Yeah,
Mr. Chairman. I appreciate that very much. Thank you.
And I want to thank the staff for, you know, finding it and making sure that we got it. I know that, you know, we worked on it for a couple of, you know, at least a couple of weeks that I can remember, and it just couldn't, we wanted to bring a rock, but we felt, you know, engraved rock.
I have an engraved rock.
I know,
by the way.
yeah.
Yeah,
He
in my
does, he
office.
does.
Yeah.
From the-
Anyway, thank you very much, and we will
Thank you,
now
Mr.
continue. I mean, I know the bags are there for a reason, but I guess we'll wait until we get to it. So the next item in the agenda is proclamations, presentations, and appointments, and that was a presentation. Actually, I should have done that after that. During this segment of the agenda, board members may discuss the presentations and proclamations and may announce appointments to the Yuma County Planning and Zoning Commission and the Yuma County Board of Adjustments. No legal actions will be taken. Are there any appointments to be made by any of the board members? If not, we'll move on to a presentation of the Yuma County Quarterly Safety Excellence Award by the county administrator. Hey, that's what the bags are for.
We have a lot of them today. I'm very happy about that. Good morning, Chairman Reyes and members of the board. I do apologize that I might cough a little bit. I'm at the end of a cold, and so you can tell that my voice is a little different than it normally is, but I'm very
Is
pleased
this
to be
safe
here.
space between us here?
Yeah, why did you
For
shake
this
our hand?
coronavirus.
I washed my hands thoroughly too. Yeah.
They should wear a mask, I mean, with all
And
this
I've
stuff.
taken my flu
Don't
shot.
drink any Corona beers.
The health department.
Good morning. I am pleased to recognize the nominees that we have today for Yuma County Safety Excellence Award for the second quarter. This award recognizes county employees who consistently promote safety in the workplace, and any employee can nominate another employee for a quarterly or the annual award. The nominations are screened for eligibility, and a committee of staff members selects the award recipient from the eligible nominations. Nominees are recognized in the UCount News. They receive a certificate of achievement, a safety challenge coin, and a commemorative safety medal. That's what's in our bags today. And then all the nominees are also eligible for the annual award in conjunction with our employee appreciation ceremony. The winner of today's quarterly award will receive a $100 net cash check, and the annual award winner receives $250. For this quarter, I'm pleased to recognize 6 nominees for the Safety Excellence Award. They are Christian Figueroa from Public Works, Daniel Paz from Library, James Franco from Juvenile Court, and nominated as a team from Public Works, we have Magdiel Mag Valenzuela, Jose Luis Gonzalez, and Quentin Martin. First, I'd like to ask Christian Figueroa to join me at the podium to be recognized.
Speech.
So all of our nominees have done much more than what I'm going to tell you, but I only have a short time to tell you just an example of the work that they've done. Christian is a sign technician for Public Works. He's been in this position for 1 year and has been with Yuma County for 5 years. Christian was on Avenue 50E when he came across 3 young ladies who were stranded and dehydrated on the side of the road. Their ride had not shown up. Fortunately, Christian makes it a habit to carry plenty of ice water, and when he was working in his truck, he gave them water and called the sheriff's office to get help and to get a ride for them. It turns out the lady's ride had gone into labor and was rushed to the hospital to deliver her baby, so they were waiting in vain for her to show up. Christian followed county policy by not giving these young ladies a ride in his truck. By calling the sheriff's office, he was able to get them appropriate help and reconnect them with their friend who had gone into labor. This is Christian's second nomination for a Safety Excellence Award. Last year, he suggested a platform ladder at Public Works wash rack. So congratulations. Thank you. Next, I'd like to invite Daniel Paz to join me at the podium. Daniel is the IT manager for the library district. He also has volunteered to be their safety officer. He has served in his current position and has worked for Yuma County for 1.5 years. Daniel has taken action to increase safety awareness throughout the library system by creating a page on the library's intranet for all employees to access all safety-related information such as material safety data sheets, OSHA information, and library emergency information. This makes it easy for any staff member to access this important data. He has also updated maps for each library to show where fire extinguishers are located. Daniel as the safety officer for the library, he conducts quarterly fire drills at each library. After each drill, he discusses with staff how to make their library a safe place for the public and employees. Daniel also worked with the county safety compliance manager to conduct safety audits at all the libraries. He quickly learned which ones were the most common safety hazards and took it upon himself to fix those hazards in all the library branches. Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you.
Now I would like for James Franco to join me at the podium to be recognized. James is a detention supervisor with the Juvenile Justice Center. He has served in this current position and has worked for Yuma County for over 6 years. One example of James' commitment to safety is that he took the initiative to teach an American Red Cross babysitting and child care training course to 12 juveniles in detention. The training included an American Red Cross CPR certification, which has empowered these juveniles to potentially save a life. The courses are for ages 11 and up and include such topics as choosing age-appropriate activities, basic child care, bottle feeding, child behavior, leadership, professionalism, safety, starting a babysitting business, and more. It's usually an 8-hour course, but James taught the course for 2 hours each day over the course of 6 days. Of the 12, 8 girls passed the course, and the other 4 had been released from detention before they could finish. CPR training is a critical life skill for young people, some of which are already teen parents or may be caring for younger siblings at times. The girls were really proud of achieving their certificates, and some said they wanted to start their own babysitting service. Thank you, James. Now I'd like to invite the team of Mag Valenzuela, Luis Gonzalez, and Quentin Martin to join me at the podium.
So has anybody left the Public Works?
So Mag has been an equipment operator for 5 years and has worked for Yuma County for 13 years. Luis has been an equipment operator for 13 years and with Yuma County for 19 years. And Quentin has been an equipment operator for 2 years and with Yuma County for 7 years. On the afternoon of November 13th, 2019, Mag was transporting solid waste bins on his East County route when he noticed smoke coming from a house in Roll. Mag immediately reported the fire and stayed on scene until the sheriff's office arrived. Both Tacna and Wilton fire departments responded. Shortly after they arrived on scene, the fire departments requested assistance from Public Works. Luis and Quentin responded with their water trucks and acted as tenders for the fire departments. Luis and Quentin assisted firefighters for nearly 4 hours as they battled flames into the evening. Unfortunately, the home was not able to be saved, but thanks to Mag's alertness and quick reporting of the fire, and Luis and Quentin's assistance to the fire department, the fire did not spread and no other structures were damaged. Thank you, Mag, Luis, and Quentin. So we have really difficult choices every quarter with these nominations. And I'm always excited to share these nominations with you and commend all of our nominees for their dedication and service to safety. I also want to encourage anyone to nominate deserving fellow employees for this award for the next quarter. Now, I'm pleased to announce that our Safety Excellence Award recipient for the second quarter is Mr. Daniel Potts from the library. So here is his $100 check. And if you'd like to have a photo with the Board of Supervisors, you want to come
Yeah,
back
sure.
and have a photo?
And just remember, don't spend it all in one place. You gotta spread it out.
Take all
Spread
your
it
fellow
out.
nominees to lunch.
Take the rest of the nominees to lunch, was suggested. That wouldn't be enough, I don't think. In the middle.
Congratulations.
All right. I took it back. Just gave it to him for show. All right. Take the chair up there now that I have a chance.
Mr. Chairman, too, I just wanted to add on that response with the county water trucks out in East County. They are a godsend a lot of times for fires out there because there are no hydrants, there is no water available. I know,
Hey, guys that were talking about you,
yeah.
you know, just in case you
Right.
didn't notice, you know, the gentleman here was trying to.
Take
you know,
care. Thank you for all you do.
Too late, then you weren't quick enough.
Yeah, well, I know when my house burnt down in '02, we had 2 or 3 of their big trucks show up to help with the water situation, so they do provide a great service out there.
All right. Having said that, the next item in the agenda is presentation of the county line by Yuma 77, the Yuma County Government Channel.
Our health district is always training for different scenarios and recently held a pandemic tabletop exercise at Arizona Western College. Have you ever wanted to share your thoughts on ways to improve the economic development in Yuma County? Now is your chance. And Public Works saves some time collecting data on road conditions throughout the county. These stories and more, this is your County Line. If you've been watching the news, you know the coronavirus recently was detected inside the United States. And just last week, a case in Arizona was announced by the CDC and the Arizona Department of Public Health. While there's still a lot to learn about this virus originating out of Wuhan, China, there really is no cause for alarm in Yuma County. Yuma County partners with health agencies all over the county, state, and nation. If anything regarding the coronavirus occurs here, your county government will keep you informed. Recent training held at Arizona Western College with the Yuma County Health District turns out to be very timely. And in reality, our health district trains for many different scenarios. But pandemic training was the subject of the tabletop exercise. The entire training focused on the detection of a virus outbreak on campus. The participants were educators from Yuma County and partners from Mexicali and San Luis Sonora.
It's critical to provide an opportunity, one, to have them collaborate with one another and know who the key players are. Secondly, by doing this, we provide an opportunity for them to go back and look at their plans and maybe update them or fine-tune them a little bit, and it'll make the community just more resilient to any kind of pandemic event.
So when it comes to coronavirus, while there's to be discovered about one strain, one thing is for sure. Should it or any new virus show up in Yuma County, your health district, along with all partners, know how to respond. Would you like to have the opportunity to provide input about the future of Yuma County? If so, there's great news. Your county government is looking for public input to help guide future economic development and growth decisions.
We would like public input to ensure that we haven't overlooked anything or that there might be some segment of the economy out there that we need to speak to specifically.
County staff began work on the plan in July 2019 and have collaborated with many local agencies. The plan is available on the Yuma County website. Just visit yumacountyaz.gov. Your chance to help and provide comment will be over on Tuesday, February 21st. As we reported to you in November, our Public Works Department is getting a little help getting accurate road reports from a vehicle you may have already seen around. Officially, it's called the RST, but is better known as Laser Road Surface Tester. Public Works has teamed up with Infrastructure Management Services, a firm in Tempe, to complete a detailed inventory and condition rating of all roadways that our Public Works Department maintains.
If we're in a neighborhood or residential community, we can test about 40 miles a day because of the speed limit. But if we are in a county road, we can test up to 80 because we can go up to 50 to 65 miles per hour depending on the posted speed limit.
These vehicles just finished traveling many Yuma County roads. Sort of like Google Map vehicles you may have spotted. These are collecting data specifically about the road you are driving on.
What we'll do is we'll take that data and we'll compare it to our data currently within Cardiograph, and we'll see how it compares to what the van actually did, which is modern technology, as opposed to what was done previously in the past.
The Laser Road Surface Tester vehicles spent just over 2 weeks collecting data on county roads. Recently, law enforcement and county attorneys from Yuma and other counties gathered at the library's main branch for an important presentation on DNA evidence. The county attorney's office partnered with the Arizona Department of Public Safety Crime Lab to present and discuss rapid DNA technology.
Really, it's more of an outreach to get people aware of rapid DNA and the benefits from it, and also its limitations. There's some pending legislation up in Phoenix right now that we should be aware of, and any way we can help make sure and direct that in the way that's best for law enforcement and prosecution is our goal.
While rapid DNA has been around for a few years, there has been a recent push to use the technology without partnering with an FBI-certified crime laboratory, which can have serious implications in the courtroom. For more information about the Yuma County Attorney's Office, you can visit yumacountyaz.gov.
I'm Elia Juarez, and this is your library update. Each year, the Yuma County Library District chooses a book for our program called One Book Yuma. This year, it's a World War II story 50 years in the making. This year's One Book Yuma selection is Indianapolis by Lynn Vincent and Sarah Vladeck. It's a story that takes place in World War II when the Indianapolis, a large ship, was destroyed by an enemy torpedo. The captain was blamed for the loss of lives, and it took 50 years for the authors to research and clear his good name. This book is the selection, and you can pick it up at any of our libraries across the county. Your first chance to meet Sarah Vladeck will be at the main library on February 25th from 1 to 2:30 p.m. Then later that evening, she'll be at Arizona Western College in the theater building from 6:30 to 8. For more information on One Book Yuma or any of our other amazing programs, make sure you check us out at yumalibrary.org. And don't forget to follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Pinterest, Instagram, and YouTube.
Before we head out, just a quick mention of scheduling for the next county line. President's Day lands on the third Monday of February. Most of your county offices will be closed in observance, so the next Yuma County Board of Supervisors meeting and your next county line will be held on Wednesday, February 19th. We'd like to thank you for joining us for this county line. If you'd like to watch past episodes, log on to yumacountyaz.gov/VOD. And don't forget, you can join us live on Facebook. We'll see you next time.
What happened, Kevin? You couldn't get Old Country Road to, use as a background music?
What's that?
Nah.
Road?
Country.
Change it.
You just changed it, didn't you? Yeah. Right, okay.
Too late.
He doesn't know what he's talking about. But I think he's too old already. The song, not you.
We used to use 77 Sunset Street.
Oh, no.
Anyway, let's move on. The next item in the agenda is the consent calendar. The following items listed on the consent agenda will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member so requests. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. There are items 1 through 10. Anyone wants to pull any items?
Item number 6, Mr. Chair.
Item number 6, any other one?
7.
And 7, 6 and 7. Any other items? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve consent calendars items 1 through 10 with the exception of 6 and 7.
So moved, Mr. Chairman.
Is there a second?
Second.
Been motion and second to approve consent items 1 through 10 with the exception of 6 and 7. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? motion carries. Item number 6 is to authorize the chairman to sign a letter to Governor Doug Ducey to appeal the decision of the Arizona State Facilities Board and support funding for the proposed Somerton High School.
Yeah, it was.
Up your alley.
Chair. And you know, as Mr. Williams was here last meeting, and he came in and addressed us on that. We did mention that we were going to write a letter of support for the Somerton High School, and also that same day I had a meeting with Mayor Anaya from Somerton, Mayor Doug Nichols, and City of Yuma will also be writing a letter of support, and San Luis, Arizona will also be writing a letter of support. So.
Just, yeah, go ahead. Just one more comment. Would it make the letter any more impactful if we added the names of all the supervisors to it? I mean, you know, it just shows, I guess, a variety of support from different locations. I mean, Yuma County, I mean, he's wise enough to know that we represent different districts. So it may be that the letter would, instead of being just the chairman writing the letter,
Or you might just put in there.
you might just
by
put in
unanimous
everybody,
consent.
yes, by unanimous consent type of
Yeah.
thing. It sounds, I think it sounds a lot better than because the chairman, you know, can sign a letter on his own, but if it shows the whole board supporting it, I think it has a lot more impact.
I agree.
Would you change that? Just make it a, you know, by unanimous support, the Board of Supervisors, you know, ask you to look into this.
That's a good change.
Okay?
And also another comment on February 5th, the state facility will be having a meeting, and yeah, it's on the agenda. It's only as just comments. They won't be here, you know, talking about it as a argument.
An action item. It's not an action item. It's
but the city of Somerton will have some. I know the mayor and some other city council members will be attending that meeting, and some folks.
Right. Well, looking forward to the day Somerton has his high school. I know that was something that in San Luis, you know, took a long time, but when it happened, it really changed the way that community looked, you know, at the way that, you know, kids can participate in school.
Well, and it's over 1,200 students that are transported daily.
Yeah, well, I know what the feeling is. I still haven't forgotten.
It's just, but not only that, but just, you know, the extracurricular activities for the students that do not get to participate because transportation is just getting home at 6:30 in the evening. I mean, that's just uncalled for.
Mr. Chairman, it also, San Luis High School is overcrowded. And so there are a lot of kids who may choose to Somerton or live closer to Somerton than they do to San Luis, and would choose to go to the San Luis High School, and that would help alleviate the overcrowding down San Luis High School.
Yeah, in more ways than one. I think that, you know, we try to build schools next to the areas where they're gonna, you know, service. It just makes common sense. So, you know, we'll send that letter of support, and hopefully, you know, it will be listened to, right?
I think it'll be great to have another high school that COPA can triumph over in sports. So looking forward to that.
I don't know about that.
I'm gonna let that sink in a little bit because I am a former Copa King. So, you know, what can I say?
I am
Leaving first out that
I
door.
used to be bused from San Luis. Yeah.
Three of us.
Go Copa.
Martin, didn't you graduate from?
Copa.
Yeah, there's
That's
four of us. Yeah.
Well, I
four of
think
us.
there was
What happened when you go to a good high school?
Well, there was only two of them. They had no choice.
Yeah,
I'm not sure that if the school would have been able to choose the students, you would have made it there. They might have sent you to the criminal side.
Yeah,
I don't know
Anyway,
about
let's
that.
move
You
on.
might
Let's
I
move-
opened that
let's
up,
take a
Mr.
vote. Let's
Chairman.
take a vote. Let's take a vote.
You
Okay,
may have been
is
there
there a
too.
motion?
Move to approve item
Second.
6.
Right, there's been a motion, a second, to approve item 6 with the changes as previously discussed. Any more discussion? No? All those,
Who did the second?
Martin did the second.
I should have let him.
Supervisor Portia did the
Sorry.
second. So it's been a motion and a second to approve item 6, not necessarily as presented, but as amended. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. Item number 7 is to adopt resolution number 2020-07, rescinding resolution number 2006-13, which is the Yuma County Standards of Financial Disclosures for for local public officers adopted by the Yuma County Board of Supervisors on February 22nd, 2006. Mary Spontes?
This will, by changing, or I should say rescinding and then reissuing a new resolution, it will seemingly prevent any compliance issues considering the statutory changes that were made, I believe, in 2016. So we want to make sure that we're in compliance with the state laws.
If I may, Mr.
Sure.
Chairman. The form was identical to previous years.
There's one or two added sections to it.
Was there?
What was it? What are they? Can't remember?
I should have brought it with me. One is the travel section, and then there's one other section.
So this is just to comply with the latest changes.
Correct.
Okay.
Were we out of compliance in previous years?
No, only after 2016.
No, because you could have a county can have their own financial disclosure statement according to the statute.
Okay.
This is just to match it with the states.
Correct.
Which I'm not sure, with that further
We really
review.
want to do
Yeah,
that?
I know, I know it's tough. We're gonna trust you, this change is,
Thank
okay
you.
to comply, but
I
if we find out it isn't, there will be a difficult situation.
Thank you, Chairman.
Yeah, we'll be the ones in trouble.
Yeah, we'll
not
be the
her.
ones in
I know.
trouble. It'll be a difficult situation for you.
We'll be watching.
All right, any more discussion on this? I suggest next time that you redline it. It's what, we normally would like to see. In other words, you redline the area that's changed. You put the original and then put in the additional ones in red so that we know, what's new. Okay, because, okay?
Thank you.
All right, any more discussion on this item? No? There's a motion? Is there a motion?
I'll make the motion to approve.
So moved.
It's gotta be bipartisan, guys. So, motion Supervisor Simmons, seconded by Supervisor Pancras. Any more discussion? No discussion. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? All right, Mary.
Thank you.
Be
Thank
well.
you, Mary.
All right, for the next item, we have I need to recess the Yuma County Board of Supervisors and convene as a Yuma County Housing Board and ask the member from the complex to come up. Her name is Daniela Esparza, and she's joining us as a board member of the Yuma County Housing Board.
Good morning.
Come in. This is how lucky you are. You're between me and Supervisor McLeod. Wow. Anyway,
You guys are
we have a meeting of the Housing Governor Board, and we do have a consent calendar for this. The following items are again listed under the consent agenda will be considered as a group and acted upon by one motion with no separate discussion unless a board member so requests. In that event, the item will be removed from the consent calendar for separate discussion and action. This is again a consent calendar. Normally, this consent calendar what it means is that most of this stuff is done every year, and it's just sort of like we reaffirm it every year. They're resolutions that are either required by a plan, either by HUD or by some other agency that they need to be approved and on the books. So if any of you want to discuss any one of these three items at length, we have to pull them out. If not, they'll entertain a motion to approve them as consent items. What's the pleasure of the board? It's actually 4 items, right?
Right.
Correct.
She makes a motion, Mrs. Sparsa makes a motion to approve items 1 through 4 as presented. Is there a second? It's been seconded by Supervisor Pancrasi. There's no discussion on a consent item that's been asked to be pulled.
I just have a comment, Mr. Chairman.
Comment?
Mr. Roldan, I understand you've been doing a terrific job.
Thank you
So
very
thank
much.
you for that. Thank you for
Yes.
looking into things and, making sure we just don't always do things like we always did.
Did you hear
There's
that
no
from-
salary discussion going on right now. I don't want to add anything to that.
Just for the record, I know last time we presented this, there were some changes. So just for you guys know what are the changes in these items. For one of the things that HUD wants now is now we can accept applications by email before we couldn't do it.
Digital application.
So that's good for people that cannot have, if, for example, they're trying to, from California or any other state. Also another major one is the sex offender. Before it was only state, now it's nationally. So that's that's good. So those are the changes that are ones, which is just so you guys know what are some of the, that's basically.
Okay, you're treading really close and making this a discussion item, so.
No.
stop
I mean,
right
that's
there.
just items.
Okay, so there's
I
been a
know last
motion and
time
a
you
second
guys-
to approve the items as presented, and again, I suggest that when there are changes, that you redlight them. Because that way it allows us to kind of take a look at it and then separate what's new and what's not, okay?
Perfect.
All right, items 1 through 4 have been motioned to approve as consent items. All those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Motion carries. I am adjourning the Yuma County Housing Governor Board and thanking Mrs. Esparza for being here,
Thank you very much.
for coming over. And Mr. Roldan, I want to second that, comment. I've also been hearing good things about you, but I tried to ignore them. I know how that changes, quickly that changes, so, no.
Thank you.
You're doing a good job.
Thank you.
Okay, I am adjourning the Yuma County Housing Governor Board, and I'm reconvening the Yuma County Board of Supervisors in regular session and moving on to the Planning and Zoning agenda, where full legal descriptions of property sites for all rezoning cases are available for public review at the Yuma County Board of Supervisors office. These ones are full presentations. They're regular public hearing items, which means that the staff will make a full presentation on each of the following items, and then they will be followed by a separate discussion, a public hearing, and action by the Board of Supervisors. We have one item. The first item is for the Department of Development Services Planning and Zoning Division. It's Commissioned Initiative Case Number 1901 to rezone a parcel 2.01 gross acres in size from rural area 40-acre minimum to suburban site built 2-acre minimum. Assessors parcels number 186-33-006 located on the northwest corner of Avenue 37E and Old Highway 80 in Welton, Arizona. All right, we're stopped. Okay, so we're gonna get a dreaded PowerPoint presentation, I think.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Javier Barraza, Senior Planner, presenting Commission Initiative Case Number 19-01. Mr. Chairman, I would like to provide some background history on this Commission Initiative. Back in 2004, this property was a part of a rezoning case 0338, and it was subject to conditions of approval. Then on October 15, 2018, this board reverted to the original RA 40. And at the time, the board expressed concerns about the current property owners View looking west at the irrigation easement on the south of the side parcel. View looking north at parcels from the south of Old Highway 80. Staff received comments from MCIS and the Walton Mog and Drainage District in favor of this request. No comment from property owners were received. However, staff received a letter in opposition from one property owner and one comment in favor of the request from an owner of 3 parcels not within the zoning area. The Planning Commission recommends approval of Commission Initiative 19-01, subject to the following performance condition. Within 60 days of board's approval, the owner or agent shall provide the following: A, an ARS 12-1134 waiver; B, a recorded infrastructure disclosure statement; C, a recorded agricultural disclosure statement; D, a recorded military training route disclosure statement; and E, a recorded schedule for development disclosure statement. Also, the following schedule for development. Within 1 year of board's approval and prior to the development of the parcel, the owner shall establish and record an easement for fire apparatus access per Appendix D, Section D 103.1 of the 2003 International Fire Code, as shown on Exhibit A. And number 2, the owner shall obtain or provide evidence of legal access along Avenue 37E. Mr. Chairman, this concludes this presentation, and the property owner is present.
All right, any questions from the board to staff?
Just one. Legal access to the property is from the road on the north, then, is that correct?
Mr. Chairman,
Instead of off of Highway
it
80.
is, now it needs to prove connectivity from Old Highway 80 through Avenue 37E to connect to that public easement on the north.
And we're making no requirements on the road to access, correct?
Correct, just to provide access.
Thank you.
On the north side, on the south side of that, there's an irrigation canal.
Yeah, that's just
Runs
irrigation
down the
easement.
south side.
Right. Can't access it, okay.
Supervisor Bradford?
The agricultural apparatus means that it'll have a irrigation.
No, it's a fire apparatus, Mr. Chairman.
Didn't it
Fire
say-
suppression?
Yeah, but I thought it said agricultural as well, no?
Is
back.
it a part of the,
That area there, if I remember right, is non-irrigable
Okay,
status on that, so it'd have to probably be a well,
okay, good.
anything they put in that area.
Okay, thanks. That's all I needed.
I'm gonna open it to the public. This is a full commission, a full zoning matter, and so I'm opening this to the public. Is there anyone in the public that would like to address the board, including the owner? If not, I'll take it back to the board for their decision.
Make a motion, we approve the commission initiative case number 19-01 as
Second.
presented.
Second.
A motion and second to approve the item as presented, as recommended by the Planning and Zoning Commission and staff. Any more discussion on this item? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? I want to commend the.
Well done.
Thank
Commend
you.
the wisdom of both the owner and the staff
Mhm.
in bringing the item to the point that didn't need much more information. All right, we're going to go to item number 2, the Department of Development Services, which is rezoning case number 19-11, AG Network Solutions LLC, agent for the Robert and Patricia Callahan Trust. Requests the rezoning of a parcel, 5 gross acres in size, from rural area 5-acre minimum to suburban ranch 2-acre minimum, and assessors parcel number 7754-32-0110, located at 16880 South Avenue A, Somerton, located in the 65-69 decibel noise zone. Go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Javier Barraza, Senior Planner, presenting rezoning case 19-11. This is the vicinity and zoning map showing the subject parcel, cross-hatched and highlighted at the center. It is bounded on the east by Avenue A and on the south by County 17th Street. It is improved with a residence. It is, the northern portion is under the 65 decibel noise zone. Parcel number 31 on the is zone RA5, improved with a residence in ag. Parcel 23 is zone RA10, improved with a residence in agriculture. Parcels 4 and 5 are zone RA10, improved with residences. Parcels 8 and 9 on the west are zone suburban site built 2-acre minimum, improved with residences. Parcel number 3 to the south is in citrus production, zone RA10. Parcel number 1 to the southeast is unimproved zone suburban site built 2-acre minimum conditional. And parcel number 2 further southeast is in agriculture and citrus trees, zone RA10. And the property, as I mentioned, on the north portion is under the 65 decibel noise zone. This is Exhibit A, site plan provided by the applicant, how it will propose to split the property. It's improved on the southeast portion of the parcel, it's improved with residences. This, there's a special use permit, 1904, approved by this board for a proposed commercial wireless communication facility. This is an aerial view showing the subject parcel within context in the area. You're looking northwest of the subject property from the intersection of Avenue A and County 17th Street. You're looking northeast of the subject parcel. You're looking west at subject property from across Avenue A, looking at the northern portion. Looking southwest of the subject property from Avenue A. I received comments from Yuma County Airport Authority and MCS not in favor of this request. We received one letter in support from a property owner within the zoning area. The Planning Commission recommends approval of rezoning case number 19-11, subject to the following performance condition. Within 60 days of approval by the board, the owner or agent shall provide an ARS 12-1134 and record the following disclosure statements: an infrastructure one, navigation, range disclosure, and a schedule for development. Also, the following schedule for development. Within 1 year of board's approval, number 1, the property shall be split by means of a land division permit in accordance with section 507 of the Yuma County zoning ordinance. And number 2, all that shall be provided with means of irrigation and access to irrigation water prior to the development of any of the existing parcels. And the applicant shall provide a letter saying from the irrigation district proving that the system installed and the developers will have access to irrigation water. Mr. Chairman, this concludes this presentation.
Comments from the staff, from the board?
Mr. Chairman.
Sure, Supervisor McLeod.
Javier, I assume the northern portion is the higher noise
That is
area.
correct.
Is that correct?
That is correct, Mr. Chairman.
So basically, it's
On
almost
both sides, though, we've got SSB2 already.
And that big old long, you remember the tower that we, Mr. Chairman, the tower that we went up that's gonna look like the Eiffel Tower?
I do.
Okay, that's going on that back portion up there,
On the northern edge.
on the northern part, okay?
Mm-hmm.
So,
another one of those.
so, that may limit growth as well.
Yep.
In it,
What's the,
so,
do we know the purpose? Is the applicant here?
Are you the applicant?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Chairman Reyes, members of the board. I'm JP Mann. I'm here representing AG Network Solutions. Answer any questions.
You look familiar.
I used to work for you. And Chairman Pancras is correct. I was here a couple months ago for the approval of a wireless communication tower. The intent is not to create any further residential development on the property. The intent in splitting the property is to allow basically financing for a group of 7 people. If the LLC can own it, then we can get bank financing to continue with the development of the tower. The tower, as you can see, it's pretty close to the center of the property. It would limit any residential development. There's no plans on doing it. And talking to staff, the intent of zoning SSB2 is it met the intent of county plans, but yeah, the only intent we have is to continue with the tower.
Mhm.
If there's any questions, I'd
So the purpose of the split is to make it a clear property separation.
yes, sir. So we can own fee title to that
So that
parcel,
he can-
to
so he
that
can put
parcel and
collateral
use
on
it
it.
for financing.
now the rest would stay in the trust?
Correct.
Mhm.
So yeah, it's 5 acres. We'll split off just 2, and the rest remain in the trust. And I understand remain the same use. The property owner is actually adjacent property owner and resident also.
Mhm.
Why not make it commercial?
I'm sorry.
Why not do commercial instead of residential zoning?
Supervisor McLeod, commercial wasn't supported by I don't think it was
plan.
supported by the
Spot
land
zoning.
use plan to have to have a commercial use.
Yeah, then we have a spot zoning issue, and then it gets
Mhm.
worse. Because
Yeah.
commercial allows more uses, way more uses.
Yeah. So in intent
Would
looking
look
looking around at the land use and the zoning out there, we thought this worked very well. It wasn't until the base, and I believe the airport authority raised the issue. I did have some communication with the base and kind of try to alleviate any of those concerns about future residential development in the area. And again, we don't intend to develop it. I believe it'd be a challenge to develop it the way that the LLC is set up. But we only intend to build the tower.
Sometimes, and I can see where they may not have flexibility. They may not be able to discuss anything. I mean, based on the statement as I read it about violating ARS so and they're pretty fixed. They don't have much flexibility. They can't go back and discuss it and see if there's.
And Chairman, I
mitigating
agree.
circumstances.
My discussion with them was, hey, we basically had to draw a line somewhere. The line is already on the map. I think the ARS sections that were cited talk about building a residence, which
they deal with density.
If further down the road we didn't intend to to build a residence, which isn't the intention, we'd have to work through that, which I believe already limits the ability to do that.
All right. Any questions from the applicant? Any more questions or any more information? No?
Mr.
go ahead.
Chairman, one question I had was, they said the airport authority was against it.
Mr. Chairman, that is correct. They were not in favor of this because they're against any development under a 65 decibel noise zone.
Yeah, but this isn't a density issue, they just,
the marine
because it falls in there. Okay.
They're not here, so it must.
They just don't like to have
real
anything
concerned.
built within a certain decibel.
And I was looking
range.
at it too, it's like 3 miles from the end of the runway, so it's a good distance
I
as
went
far
out there
as
and
the tower.
it is pretty,
Mhm.
it is far away.
It is pretty remote.
Yeah.
Okay.
And it's the old Callahan house on the front part, yeah.
Okay, thank you. Anyone else in the public that would like to address the board? If not, I'll return it to the board for their decision.
Mr. Chairman,
Supervisor Franklin?
I move that we approve rezoning case number 1911.
Wow.
Is there a
I
second?
know.
I need a seatbelt on my chair.
Okay, there's a motion and second to approve rezoning case 1911.
Who was second?
Martin. Any more discussion on the item? If not, all those in favor of the motion signify by stating aye.
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 Well,
I
that
think
was,
the tower will limit any kind
but
of. growth.
I didn't hear that. I mean, was there enough ayes in there? Yeah, okay.
I voted.
Okay, everybody voted. Everybody voted in favor. Okay. I just heard a bunch of ayes. So I didn't know whether they're complaining about old age or they were actually voting, so. Anyway, having cleared that out, we'll move on to discussion and action items, where the board will open each of the following items separately for discussion and action. This is for county administration, discussion and possible action regarding the following legislative items. A report to the Board of Supervisors regarding proposed bills in the Arizona State Legislature with impact to Yuma County, an update regarding strategies relating to federal legislative priorities, and to authorize the chairman to sign a letter of opposition to House Bill 2458, which seeks to place all of ADOT's enforcement division under the Arizona Department of Public Safety. Can you hit that again?
We didn't get that on camera.
Come on, I want to see it. We can put it on funniest home videos.
I just wish I had a picture of his face.
Are we helping you?
Or cry.
Yes, that was just too funny.
Oh.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was kind
Good
of.
morning, Mr. Chairman. Now that I'm the comedic relief this morning.
Look at
You've
your
always
hair
been
on
the
your face,
comedic
you thought
relief.
were
You just
going
didn't know
over.
it until this morning.
Just didn't know it. Oh, my.
Oh, gosh.
That'll
Somebody,
teach me to run 2 races
before you
in a row.
start with your presentation, somebody made a comment, you worked with somebody that did something good, so I wanted to make sure that I mentioned that, although I don't remember what it was.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I always appreciate those anonymous.
I think it was an
Passing by
article, I think it was an article on economic development in South County, and, yeah, something like that you brought some issues up, so I wanted to make sure that I brought that up after you painfully, went and did
Thank you,
that.
Mr. Chairman. It's a good thing I didn't take that header into the dais, then that would have
That would have been a
soothed
little
all the
bit, it
minds.
would have been better for us though, it'd be funny.
No.
Mr. Chairman, Paul Melcher, Director of Economic Development and Intergovernmental Affairs. Mr. Chair, I wanted to start first with the draft of the talking points that I've been preparing for the Washington DC trip. I've left draft on them because they're still a work in progress. I wanted to go through each one with you just to give you a general sense of where each stands. So the first one is to continue the funding of the PILT program. So right now all the data is current on this item, and I did remove the one item that we used to have in the past regarding the secure route to schools aspect of it. That'll be removed because in this presidential budget for this year, we understand that that funding was allocated and apportioned for 2 more years. So that item, that little bullet point will be removed. In terms of item number 2, the SCAP program, I'm still waiting for the most recent data to be released for the program. We're about 1.5 years or so behind on that data. So we wanted to make sure that we have the most recent. I'm hoping that it will be released in time for the next Board of Supervisors meeting so that we can have that updated.
Yeah, that's right. I was gonna ask you about that.
Yes, that's what I was looking at.
One,
I wonder if
two.
that got missed.
1, 2, 4,
Miss-
5.
It was supposed to be two-sided?
Yeah, that'd be
Your
fine.
piece
Thank
of
you.
paper didn't turn over.
You're trying to save trees, but making for confusion here.
No, it's probably supposed to be on the back side and the
Yes,
I mean,
it
you're
did.
saving trees, but not copying.
And the
copying
copier
both
didn't
sides.
copy, yes.
So, Mr. Chairman, thank you. On number 3, what we've been working with as the city of San Luis is the concept that we want to request the apportionment of the entire funding. When we realized that the $248 million worth of funding was cut down to a little over $150 million, as I reported last time, there wasn't a specified cut. There wasn't anything determined within that program. Was it a reduction in lanes? It was just an overall cut in funding. So our focus is on making sure and understanding that the port needs the entire amount of funding to be successful, but for those reasons, and we're looking at the city of San Luis sales tax decreasing. The Economic Development Director for the city of San Luis is providing me the impact statements on those in terms of overall city sales tax, some of the number of the businesses that have been closing because the reductions in traffic. And we're also looking at it from the standpoint of making sure that we don't get a port that's only partly modernized. If the port is going to receive those types of improvements, we want to ensure that all of the port is improved and updated so that you don't have one section of it that might be modernized and up to date. Something as you would experience now, if you've been to secondary for a while, you would know, the bathrooms are in pretty a horrible state, and some of those other improvements on the back where you've got some of the pedestrian improvements are modernized and up to date. So really that's been the focus of that item moving forward.
Adding to that, we took a tour not too long ago, the Arizona Borders Counties Coalition. We took a tour of the border. And as you can tell, just from the way that they present the operations of the border, their main concern is security. Security for the port, security for the people who work at the port. And sometimes when that priority is in front of them, it concerns me that they will basically utilize the majority of these funds to make the place more secure for them, which is fine. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that. But I like to think that there's a focus on improving trade, improving crossing times, and doing those kind of things. And I'm afraid that given a choice, they will choose to make the facilities more secure, but at the same time, the idea of facilitating trade gets to be sort of placed in a second tier of needs. And so it's important for us to not assume that just because it sounds like a lot of money, $150 million is a lot of money. I still remember when the port improvements in 2006 or 2007 were around $67 million, $68 million. I know that a project like this can escalate into $250 million, but I'm just concerned that the way that they have done this It would have been better for them to approve the full amount and say it's a multiple year type allocation than it is the way they did it now. 'Cause they do it without direction, and it allows people to plan differently. And I'm afraid that our concern will be, relegated to second priority status. So we need to continue advocating that for the full funding for the project. Otherwise, all the planning that's gone before it to determine that amount goes by the wayside. I don't think they ever thought about doing it in phases. So
That's
And
a
you're right,
really
Mr.
good
Chairman.
idea. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, that's a really good idea to phase it in so that the funding doesn't all come out of 1 year.
well, it really never does, because you can't spend $150 million within one single fiscal year.
Yeah.
The problem is that if the next fiscal year there's nothing allocated to it, then you end up with a truncated process that, makes you decide, what you want. And it has been my experience that they choose things that improve the way that they see the operations of the port in terms of safety, the way they see it in terms of safety, and not necessarily in terms of trade. And, for us, trade is also important, very important. Improving trade, anyway.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And Mr. Chairman, I think that's another good focal point to remind ourselves is that was repeated from last year, is to make sure it's farm worker travel back and to and from across the border. And it is that aspect of, we understand that operations have been improving because staffing will be up to full, within the next 6 to 8 months. So that won't be the consideration. The consideration really is the port improvements.
All right. Okay.
So, Mr. Chair, turning to number 4, we've had this on the radar for several years, and we understand that we were able to get House Resolution 5038 up into, it's been referred to the Judiciary Committee in December, but it's been sitting there for over 2 months. At this point, when we move up to Washington, D.C., I might ask the board, we still don't know what form of the bill it would take when it gets out to the House. We've been anticipating that it might move through the committees and then out to a House vote. But there's been no indication that that is true since it's been sitting in committee for 2 months. The House has been busy with other items at this point, but I think they might be catching up on this. So I wanted to ask the board and Mr. Chair your opinion on, we can take this and remove it because we're not really sure exactly what we'd be promoting or asking for in terms of support. There will still be, I'm sure when that version comes out, further comments from local, state, and National Farm Bureau, in addition to all of the other agencies that have commented so far. What we could do is take the approach that once if the bill does make it to the House, then we could advocate based on whatever version finally moves to the House floor to see how that might work versus trying to advocate for a bill, which we're really not certain what might come out of that in the content.
The problem with that is that we don't really know what the timing is. And so we need to be prepared to proceed accordingly. If the bill is ready, then we need to proceed supporting the bill. If it isn't, then we need to advocate for the process, the actual meat of the issue. So I think that we need to at least have that, that advocacy paper ready. And then if it becomes a bill, then we just simply, start processing with the bill. There's still a month to go, so there may be time in between now and then for us to see which path's a better way to go, but we have to have a path.
Okay. So, Mr. Chair, so what I'll do then is I'll just prepare the highlights that I provided at the initial outset when the bill was introduced.
And then prepare that on a separate sheet of paper. That way we can, okay?
So, Mr. Chairman, I'll let everybody draw their own conclusions, but these first 4 items, we've been working on those for a decade.
Well, actually, we're missing
And the
2
chairman has been to Washington, D.C.
It was a lot
each
thinner
year during
and
that decade.
it was a lot thinner and had air. That's how long we've been working on these things. But hey, some things take a long time happening. It is. Some things take a long time.
Sit there and don't get taken care of.
Yeah. Well, PILT is the classic example. It's been 20 years of that.
We still don't have
We still don't have a
continuing
secure.
funding.
I think that the problem is at one point in time it was extended for 3 or 5 years. So we didn't have to deal with that every year. But now it's like a yearly process, and it's incredibly tiresome to be doing this every year. But SCAP is a problem that we have dealt with for many years.
At best, it was 10 cents on the dollar even when it was funded.
Yeah, right. Well, anyway, that's just, we can, we sound like old people.
We are.
Oh, yeah. Speak for yourself. Speak for yourself.
Mr. Chairman, moving on to item number 5.
Go to item 5.
I don't have any changes for that. That one will still be the carryover so that when we get ready to
The ozone
drop
thing.
that. The good news is that we keep moving
might
forward with the state implementation plans for both PM10 and ozone. So once those plans are in place, this will be the backup in case we have any other emissions exceedances based on natural events. So we're very encouraged on that at that level.
All right. That's all.
Mr. Chair, there weren't any changes so far to item number 6. That would be another one of those 2 Senate bills that would be sitting there that we have encouraged their passage. They have not got to the Senate floor, but we can keep those in there for the same thing.
Well, if we had.
Item number 6 is enact federal
Oh, good.
legislation restoring the health benefits of the pretrial individuals.
Okay, I got, yeah, that's right. What is
And then item number 7 is an item that we've added also is the secure federal funding for the permanent relocation of the Yuma County Fairgrounds.
Oh, that one's new.
At this point, what we're really looking at is a combined state and federal resolution to the issue. I'll provide more detail, but we actually have a state bill that would allocate some funding toward that. And we also are looking at the federal programs, most notably the Defense Community Infrastructure Program, to be able to tap into those funds. We're trying to figure out what that balance is, and since the program actually doesn't have a program director, nor does it have an application process, we're trying to figure out through both Senator Sinema and McSally's offices to how we can apply. Maybe we might apply first just to figure out what that process is and let somebody respond to it rather than trying to wait for an entire process to be developed. We understand the time urgency and sense of this, so we're trying to keep this moving forward, particularly since it has, at this point, really good support through both of the senators' offices.
Okay.
So, Mr. Chairman, that would be all the items that we'd be including for the talking points.
Did we miss or did I miss? We used to have an IRS intercept bill that we were supporting. Is that?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I reported at the last meeting that we have deferred that one till after the election. The real challenge there is that in the hierarchy in that federal tax intercept, child support comes first. So the question is, you know, would it usurp this child support? Would it take away from child support? And I think that's the real sticking point in terms of how that would work for a tax intercept. So that's going to be the obstacle to overcome.
Could we just add except on state support?
Yeah, just make it.
Make an exception. You know, actually write it in there. You know, we would support this process. You know, except in cases of child support.
I'll bring that up to them. It's really at the judicial level that they've chosen to defer pushing it forward. They know that they had pushed it forward. I think they're looking at it thinking that there's just not enough momentum to exercise any political capital to keep it moving forward.
All right. I think it's revenues, and you know, it's just not. It doesn't impact just the court system.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Is this the one?
Oh, be careful with your head, man. You know,
Oh, yes.
Oh, yeah. I suppose you're familiar with this process, Supervisor Pankratz?
I am, very much so, yes.
Well, as long as it's not dead.
Aye, aye, aye.
So, Mr. Chairman, I wanted to bring the board's attention first to the late ACO legislative priority summary. I wanted to identify the fact that when at the previous board meeting, we didn't have bill numbers assigned to these or any of the committee status because they hadn't gone through that process yet. So anything on the left-hand side that has been assigned either a Senate or a House bill number has been dropped, introduced, and you can see the committee assignments on the side. You can see also that ballot by mail is dead. Again, it didn't get a sponsor and is likely not to get a sponsor. Today's the last day to drop bills, so that was reported that that's probably not going forward ahead. The presidential electors' names issue on the ballot was, there was an issue in a lawsuit about the process of the how electors' ballots come up in terms of, you know, the numerical or the alphabetical order and all that. So that's going to be addressed in another existing bill. I wanted to also bring up to the board's attention that this morning at the LPC for ACO, Senate Bill 1509, which is the salary adjustment bill, was dropped on the 30th, and it's expected to go to the Senate government for a committee assignment this week. That was that extensive bill that takes all of the elected officials' salaries and proposes an increase for them, just to give you a heads up on that one. The other notable ones that I wanted to bring to your attention, if you'll turn to the next page where we talk about the miscellaneous bill summary.
Yeah, the one that's supposed to have color?
Yes.
Oh, okay, cool.
The dark shading are the new bills that ACO has taken a stance on, and those are in support. The ACO opposed are the lighter shading. I wanted to draw your attention to the next page for House Bill 2099. Supervisor Pancrezi, you had asked on the mobile homes.
Yes.
Okay, so that passed through House Ways and Means then on the 29th. Just to give you that heads up. And then down below, we had the Central Invest property evaluation, which will probably be determined as part of the budget. And on the following page, I wanted to bring your attention to a couple items at the bottom of importance. About in the middle is House Bill 2084. That was the bill that would allow private property owners to build international boundary walls on their property. That actually did pass House federal regulations on the 22nd, so that continues to move forward.
Was it amended to be subject to building codes?
I'd have to check on that, report back to you,
Yeah,
Supervisor
that's-
McLeod. I didn't see anything on there that said it was amended, but
That's really
I'll check
important.
back on that one.
Okay.
And then also I wanted to bring to your attention, House Bill 2310 at the bottom was that appropriations bill for the military. That would request Yuma County to get $7 million in appropriations to be able to address the fairgrounds relocation. So in theory, what we're looking at is taking that appropriation to be able to bundle it as the grant match for any federal grant that we might request.
Remind me, how much was that relocation cost?
It depends on the phasing, but it could be anywhere between 55 to $100 million, depending on what the final approval is.
About high school.
But this would allow us to at least start the process, Mr. Chairman, to at least start the process of maybe purchasing land, or get the land secured so that
No, I
those
understand.
prices
It's one of
don't
those
go up.
multi-year projects. It's not
Yeah,
gonna happen all at
that's right.
once. And you
That's
got to,
right.
once you secure the land, you have a project actually.
That's right. You actually can do something, yeah.
All right.
And Mr. Chairman, I wanted to bring up to your attention Senate Bill 1416 that was right below that one. This one was brought to the attention of the county clerks. And what this really does, in the plain reading of it, almost requires the county to anticipate any and all claims that might come forward and to provide notice to claimants. It's a very broad bill in the reading. And so, as you're right, Supervisor Pancrezi, that was the same response that we all had, was that's really telling to figure out what claims might come forward, because how could a county ever anticipate all of those?
Yeah.
There's already a process in there for filing claims, statute of limitations, and so on that could be followed. And so we're paying close attention to that one. And then I titled one down here that was called horse racing, because I haven't seen the bill number yet. And the director of the Yuma County Fair is going to send that over for me with more detail. I wanted to bring it to the board's attention because it's looking like there's going to be a move to promote horse racing again at the county fairs. Some of the county fairs already have them, but they're looking at establishing a purse. One of the concerns that we had was that a lot of the counties operate the fair directly as a county entity, not as we do through a fair board, and there's some auditing responsibilities that are yet to be determined. So we're going to track that bill. I want to make sure I just brought it to your attention so that as we move forward, I'll provide more details once I'm able to get better ones from.
Do you have any idea
Yeah,
who's
but-
running it?
I
Excuse
didn't
me,
get that
Mr. Chair.
information, no.
Okay.
When I
Fansworth,
talked to the fair director, he's going to send over more
I think
specific
it's
information.
Fansworth. But I mean, this is an enabling bill. It doesn't require that you do it, right? It just
doesn't.
allows you to do it if you want to.
Right.
I think it's in the bottom. It says, no. Well, go ahead, Supervisor McLeod.
Thank you. House Bill 2099, property tax mobile homes. Isn't that moving tax burden to other taxpayers?
Yes, that's why ACO opposes it as well, is because it's decreasing the property value so that the valuations would shift over instead of having, it reduces all the qualifying property owners down to a class 6 status.
Right.
Yes. So that's why both
Effectively
AGO and
increases
CSA would be opposed to it.
Property taxes on stick-built homes and commercial.
Mr. Chairman, on the last page then, there are two other bills. House Bill 2371 is an appropriation for DNA testing equipment. There would be 4 DNA testers. One would likely go to Yuma County. The sheriff is in support of this bill as long as the state is covering the expenses. So as long as there's no transfer of expenses to any of the counties, then they're in favor of this.
Sure.
And the last one, Mr. Chair, HB ? Is likely to be introduced today then. It's a bill that the assessor and I worked on with Julie Engel and Greg Levan at GYDC to address rural economic development.
Well, that's the one I was thinking about when I said congratulations.
So we're anticipating, there were a couple changes that Ms. Engel had noted that would be occurring last Friday. But anticipating that bill would drop, what that really does is it creates a concept called high impact projects. And we're really looking to spur and encourage development in the rural areas. According to GYDC, and if you'll remember Ms. Engel's presentation here recently, as much as 80% of all the future jobs look like they're going to the Metro Phoenix area. What we're trying to do is encourage rural growth by having those high impact jobs and then the reimbursement for infrastructure or the qualifying jobs that they might bring for an area. Mr. Chairman, that completes my presentation.
How about
I'd be happy to answer any questions about.
Is that we're gonna take on that letter of opposition to that bill, that ADOT bill?
Yes.
As a separate item?
Yes.
Okay, all right. Any other questions? Just one last comment. The fact that the state, that when something passes and something is assigned to the county and the state's gonna pay for it, does not mean that that's forever. Anytime the state finds itself into trouble, they pull the funding and you end up holding the bag. So just creating something and supporting it because the state is willing to pay for its creation and operation the first year, it's like rolling the dice here. So unless there's a dedicated fund from the state that can't be removed, I'd say that we're just playing Russian roulette. But okay, well, anyway.
That's an appropriate comment, Mr. Chairman.
All right, move on then to the next one.
Mr. Chair, the next request is to authorize you to sign a letter of opposition to House Bill 2458, which seeks to place all of ADOT's Enforcement Division under the Arizona Department of Public Safety. At the previous meeting, Mr. Chair, the board authorized you to sign opposition to House Bill 2030. So 2048 was the extension of that with police action. So not only is the board, and I think a lot of the border counties are universally opposed to the concept of transferring it over. Our biggest concern is that if any transition like this would occur, that there might be a change in philosophy at DPS. The board and the local business has been working very hard along the border to secure and to streamline inspections. And after all of, again, it's been discussed as long as I can remember, for going back 10 years, to have all that work overturned after 10 years of getting everything down to where it's finally getting to be an acceptable, streamlined inspection process would, I think, be really detrimental to the improvement and the increase in traffic that everybody's seeing at San Luis too.
Well, I think that the best comment I can make is a regulatory process is not necessarily a law enforcement process. It is more a way to improve things by regulation, which most of the time doesn't work. But anyway, it's a way. Law enforcement is a different mentality. And, for that change to happen, well, after we worked so many years to make sure that the regulatory process can work in conjunction with the private sector to improve the situation, it's almost uncalled for. I don't even know where that could come from. But anyway, the point that I'm making is that we invested a lot of time and a lot of effort in making sure that ADOT worked in conjunction with other regulatory agents in the border to make sure that we work trade as we like to see it improved, and bring DPS into that situation only opens the door to two things as far as I'm concerned. DPS will then have access to the funding that's set aside for that. And second, they will become a thorn in the side of anyone and not have any way for us to make any any inroads in making any comments or making any changes happen. They would say, again, this has been the history of my whole life. They would say that their goal is to prevent crime and do those kind of things, as opposed to improve trade, which is to us what ADOT was doing there, improving the trading relationship. So I'm adamantly opposed to that.
Great.
Agreed? All right then. I'll entertain a motion.
We'll take a vote for you.
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to go ahead and approve item, what is it? Item 1C, which is to authorize the chairman to sign the letter of opposition to Housing Bill 2458. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion and second to approve the bill. Any comments?
Comment. Can we have all of our signatures on it?
Definitely. I'm not, definitely.
We just do the same thing.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
fine.
unanimous.
Yeah.
I think as long as we, Mr. Chairman, if I could propose that you would change the motion to then reflect
Approval
that
of the-
all would sign it instead
Yeah.
of just
Unan-
authorize
you
the
can say
chairman.
unanimously
Just do
approved.
unanimous
Unanimous.
consent of the board, the chairman signs.
Good,
It's that, same as the other one.
that'll work.
All right. Any more discussion on this item? All those in favor signify by taking aye.
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 I do resent the taking of my imperial powers from you guys. You just sign it.
I thought about making a motion for the former vice chairman to sign the letter.
Let me get that clock back. Thank you, Paul. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Paul.
All right, next item in the agenda is event calendar and current events. Board members and county administrator will report and may discuss events attended to be attended on behalf of the county, may present a brief summary of current events, and may update the schedule for future Board of Supervisors meeting as appropriate. No legal action will be taken. This is just a report kind of situation. So would you begin, Supervisor Pancrazy?
Okay. I attended the Chamber of Commerce Transportation meeting. I spoke at Project Central. Project Central is a leadership training for rural individuals, and I participated in speaking about water, and it was interesting. I attended the CSA LPC meeting via teleconference, which is the legislative component of CSA to help lobby our state legislators. And then I attended the PM10 and ozone meeting. I attended the Veterans Court planning meeting, and that one is coming along very, very well. I attended YMPO Executive Board meeting and the Hospice of Yuma Board meeting. I also attended Redondo Days, the Redondo Days celebration, and would like to thank Debbie and Bruce Gwynn for all the work they have done to try and improve and through the Historical Society, improve the Molina Block. And this next week, I get to be a volunteer at Body Walk, and I'm going to be at the Bone Station. So that is going to be so fun. All the third grades in Yuma County get to do it, and I get to have some fun with the kids. So yeah.
I don't know when you don't have fun, kids, but especially you, 'cause you treat them like, students.
Oh,
Kids
yes.
of all ages, as a matter of fact. Supervisor McLeod?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I attended the County Supervisors Association Legislative Policy Committee meeting.
There you go. There it is.
Actually, twice. It's every Friday.
Mm-hmm.
And also traveled to Phoenix to provide testimony at the Legislative Transportation Committee. I didn't make a couple of friends because I told them they need to do their job. But it's true. And many people felt the same way. A lot of people came up afterward and appreciated the candor. Yeah, it's like.
Oh, I'm going to watch that meeting.
Yeah, I got a little test.
It's already
some
been
back and forth.
deleted. So.
Also, that same day, I had the privilege of attending Nancy Welch's retirement reception. She ran the Flynn Brown program. And did a great job, really moved that program forward. It was a real privilege to be accepted into that program last year. Also attended the Veterans Court update, echoes Supervisor Pancrazy's words. It's great what Yuma County does, and this is going to be a wonderful addition to our court system And it's interesting, they are finding out there are a lot more veterans going through our jail system than was even previously thought. So also attended the Project Central Yuma seminar dinner. I had to struggle through Supervisor Pancrazi's presentation.
He even got up and spoke, made some comments. So I appreciate
she did a good
those.
job. So, thank you, Supervisor.
Yes.
All right,
Added to my comments.
Supervisor Simmons?
See, I had one of my community meetings in the foothills this last Saturday. Also met with my 2 park board members to discuss a few things. Got to be on Jennifer Blackwell's radio show. It's always fun being on her shows. Attended the PSPRS retirement board meetings over at the sheriff's office. Participated in Mohawk Kiwanis. They had a poker run, and it's kind of their big fundraiser for college scholarships out in the East County that they give out at the end of the year. And also had a meeting with the principal of the high school and a few others over some issues out there.
Good.
All right. Supervisor Porches?
I don't have much. I was sick the last 10 days.
And you just tell me that?
And you're, yeah, really? What the heck?
It's over.
Yeah. Well, you should have told us that
It's over.
earlier.
It's over.
I don't know, man. I heard you've been drinking a lot of Corona beers.
You shouldn't have said that.
What line?
With like, I don't care. That doesn't kill it.
You sound sick
Anyway.
still.
All right. Okay.
Stuffy.
Just because of that, we'll let you go. But there's
Pass that letter this way.
I want to remind everybody, we have a board retreat. When? Next
Monday.
Next Monday? Next Monday, right? So everybody just reminded that. Be reminded of that. I attended the joint, the ribbon cutting for the joint effort that the YEDC and the Chamber of Commerce and the Hispanic Chamber of Commerce and, are making the effort they're making to locate in South County, which, the encouraging part of that is that it's one of those few times where I saw Somerton and San Luis sort of together in a meeting that, I mean, they've been doing stuff together, but I mean, really, one of the things that Mr. Curtis mentioned was the fact that when it came time to pick a location, there was no major discussion between where it would go, either Somerton or San Luis. They decided to go to San Luis, and Mr. Tapia was there, so. It was encouraging to see the level of cooperation that is starting to develop out in South County for those type of efforts. But I also saw the assessor there, the Yuma County assessor, who was actually there trying to speak to, I think it was either the mayor of San Luis or somebody from the city administration, Tadeo de la Hoya, the administrator, about an office, an office, to locate an office of the assessors in San Luis, Arizona, which was news to me. Because I thought that
We have office space there.
I thought we had office space there. He seems to, from the conversation that I've had with him, he seems to think that it's been taken over by the health department and there's no way to dislodge him from there or from the court system, the municipal court system. I think he mistakes the court system with the probation department, because I think the probation department has gone over there and, sort of taken a few offices. But just as a reminder for the new members, not a reminder for the new members, but just as a point of reference to the new members, that was designed to be half, that municipal court and the offices next to it was designed to be half of a whole complex. So, because we were thinking about San Luis growing to a certain point where having a satellite office there would make some sense. We have now employees that travel from San Luis to Yuma and go back to San Luis to do assessments and to do, it's a large area now. And once you get to 40, 50,000 people, I mean, the attention they need is probably every day more than anything else. So I just wanted to bring that point because I was really surprised he was looking for sort of free office space from the city of San Luis. I'm going like, okay, I wasn't aware that, there was that need. So I just wanted to put that on your plate, Susan. You next.
You're welcome.
Yeah. Thank you for sharing that news with me. I'll have to talk with the county assessor and.
We got to bring him into the
needs are
budget work session.
What we have, what capacity is out there in South County currently. So I attended the Arizona City County Management Association conference, the winter conference, last Wednesday through Friday. And it was
where was this again?
Wednesday through Friday.
No, where?
Oh, it was in Sedona.
Oh, well,
It's
that's a
actually
really bad spot.
Nice,
there
it
in the
didn't
state.
snow, which was nice. But we didn't get to enjoy the outdoors because we were in intense meetings all day long. So.
Oh, sure.
I was on a panel of 3 that talked about county government, and Craig Sullivan was there also to talk along with the league executive director about the legislative session and some of the challenges that the cities have, as well as the counties with some of the bills that are coming out of the legislature. It'll be interesting, and Paul's
Every
keeping
year.
good track of all those, as you saw. So there's just a lot going on at the legislature that we need to keep an eye on and to be cognizant of. We will have the budget retreat, as mentioned, next Monday, and we'll talk about some of those issues. One item of note is that ACO is proposing the elected officials' salary increase, but there's also a judicial salary increase that's being proposed by Arizona Administrative Office of the Courts through the state budget. So that will also have a fiscal impact. So we'll have that information for you at the retreat, along with a lot of other.
Tell them we'll support theirs if they support ours.
No, we oppose it.
No, we oppose both.
That's all I have.
All right, there being no, Supervisor McClellan?
I call the public is still open.
Yes.
I just wanted to express my gratitude for the very thoughtful gift. Totally unexpected. And
Thank you. Look this
really,
way.
really appreciate that, Mr. Chairman. I doubt you went shopping.
No, I want to
Thank
thank Christy. Where's Christy? Yeah, Christy handled that. I mean,
Oh, did she? Well,
we
thank you.
discussed it very much at length. It was a tough decision to make, but, it was made.
That was very kind.
All right. Okay.
I have one more.
Sure, comments, open to the public now.
Okay, it's still open. I know that they're talking about judicial races, and I know that they're talking about other county officer races, but the departments within the state of Arizona, the Ag Department, the ADEQ, the Water, Arizona Department of Water Resources, other departments like that, during the recession were cut to the very bone and have yet to be
Fully funded again.
yes, and they, the Department of Water Resources is in dire need of I always forget the name of it, hydrologist. And a few other, and the ADEQ and some of the others are all in dire need of positions, as well as some salary increases as they can to keep their folks, because they all want to go to the private sector. So
All right.
we need to
Point
be
well
looking
taken.
at that too.
Where's Paul? He's there.
Anyway, done.
All right. Thank you, everybody. I think this finishes every business that we had in front of the board. So thank you very much and see you soon.